Alright, so this is a short tutorial to go through some of the fundamentals, some of the basics of how we can use InDesign to create an interactive PDF and almost create a dummy website, which for the purposes for what we're looking at with the campaign task that we're doing will be perfect. So I'm going to start with the finished product basically, because I'm going to use bits of this to show you some of the techniques, and then you can go away and have a go yourself. So we've got a homepage here, and essentially this is just a PDF, but it's got hyperlinks and it's got interactivity within it that allows us to navigate around it like a website. So I've just set up my homepage here, so you can kind of see a general layout of what it might look like. But then as we go over and start looking at these little items at the top here, we've got kind of interactivity on these, as these are the buttons, and I can jump to different pages. And you can see that it just is working like a website would work. So if these were images, it would jump to the pages on the images. And this is all done in InDesign, so we don't have to learn another package at the moment. We can understand the fundamentals of web design and the layout side of it using InDesign and using the skills that we already have, and then being able to develop that later. And some of you might want to look into coding, into programming, and how to do that properly. And there's different ways of doing that within InDesign as well. And in other packages. So we're going to look at how we can put that together properly. So we'll need to be in InDesign, and here's my file that you were just looking at the finished article of. So you can see it's nothing majorly different on the surface that you're kind of not aware of. So we've got text boxes and frames that we've got colours in. I've got spaces for my images. I've got these images in here that I've dropped in. Now the only difference is you might see this little symbol on here, which, because we've changed some of these into buttons, and I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And there's a bit of a difference in terms of setting up the page and getting it ready, which is where we need to start. If you're organised enough to have your document itself sorted, then everything else will be a lot simpler and a lot easier for you to work with. All right. So from the very start, into InDesign, File, New, and New Document. And then from that point, we're starting to make changes already. So normally you would just leave this on print, but we need to change it to web. And then you'll see that our dimensions change to pixels. And if you change it to this one, 1024 by 768, then it will give you the same kind of size page that I've been working to. Everything else you can keep the same. So click OK on that, and you'll get a page looking like that. A landscape page that looks pretty much the same shape as the screen that you're looking at, hopefully. Now, one thing that you will need to do is along the top bar here, you should have on the right hand side a little drop down menu here, and yours will probably say Essentials. So it'll probably be set to that, and you'll see that when I change it, you've got some items in here which you're kind of familiar with. What you need to do is make sure you change that to interactive for PDF. And then you'll get some of these new menus drop in. So we need to make sure that we've got hyperlinks, bookmarks, and buttons and forms. And if you've got SWF preview as well, that will help as well, and we'll come on to that later. All right. Right, so first things first, we need to make sure that we've got our document set up nicely. So if I just go back to the finished article, you'll see that I've got a master page here, which we're going to work on with the top half of the web page, and all of these buttons will go on the master page. And then I've got a number of pages inserted here. Now you'll see from the little previews that they're kind of slightly different depending on what page it is. And then you've got a little section here where all of these are quite similar because it's just jumping to the different sections of the gallery section. So I've got a gallery section within my website set up. And then I've got the last kind of little bit of page on here. So effectively, when we're using a navigation, we're not jumping off to a different page on the internet. We're just navigating within our document at the moment. But it will allowing us to have the idea of how we can set things up like that and play around with icons and buttons and different bits and pieces along those lines. All right. So we need to start on a master page. So I'm just going to go to the master page on here, and you'll see that we've got this little setup on here with our title page. Now I'm just going to copy and paste some of this into a new document so that you can see how it works. I'm not going to copy and paste all of it because some of the new bits I want to show you how it works. But you'll obviously design your own kind of top half of your page, give it a title, a little intro like I had on my one. I just put a little bit of blurb. The best way to see this is in PDF, so you can download that as well. We can add hyperlinks into here as well. We'll look at that in a bit. All right. So on your pages here, go to your master page, and you'll need to make sure that you remember what page you're on. So at the moment this is highlighted in blue for me, so I know I'm on my master page, so I can right click and paste and it'll put my things on here. Now hopefully you remember is that anything that's on your master page will now kind of filter onto any new page that you make. So when I make another, let's kind of stick another 4 pages in there so that we've got 5 in total, you'll see that page 5 has got top half of my website on, so is page 3, because I've put it on my master page, so it runs all the way through. So you should kind of remember that you need to do that. And there'll be different things that we can do with that, and we're going to look at the buttons next to make sure that we've got those in place and ready. All right. Now, what you need to do is make sure you've got some kind of idea of what page is what. Now, I always find that the best thing to do is just to quickly, so I've gone to page 1, I'm going to get a text box here, and I'm just going to type out whatever that page is. So I'm just going to make this my home page. I'm going to make it huge and ridiculous so that I can see that it's my home page. So whenever I'm working on it, I can very quickly at a glance see if my buttons are working and I'm navigating to the right page. I know what page I'm on because different pages will have different layouts. So it's just a good idea at the start just to get this kind of sorted so that you know where you're going. So I'm going to make that page, we'll call it text 1. Page 3, I'm going to make my gallery page. Sorry, just pasting these in. Gallery. And page 4 we'll call it text 2. And then you might have a contact page or something. So whatever the sections of your website are going to be, and what you'll do is you'll maybe kind of spend some time thinking in your groups what pages you want, what page you want to have in your website, so that you can show off your campaign as the best possible light. All right. So now I've got these holders. So when I navigate and jump around these pages, I know what page I'm on and what I'm looking at. All right. Now this is important for the next bit that we're going to do. To get our buttons working, so if we just go back to the finished article, see we're on the master page here, so I've got nothing underneath it. To get these buttons working, we need to mark these pages within our layout so we can use it later. So we need to give them little names essentially, each page, so that we can jump to them easily. Right? It's really simple. It's much like bookmarking a page on the internet, and we're going to do similar. So you need to go to the page that you want to bookmark. So I've just double clicked on page 1, which is my home page. I'm going to come over here to bookmarks, down here, create new bookmark, give it a decent name, ideally the same name as what you've already called the page, and that's it. And now that is bookmarked as the home page. And you need to do that for all of your pages. So page 2, I know is text 1, bookmarks, new bookmark, text 1. All right. Once more for those that drifted off. Page 3 is my gallery page, bookmarks, new bookmark, and gallery. And for whatever reason, bookmark 2 didn't remember the name. So you can, if that happens, you just click into it carefully, and you can name it. And there you go, remember it. All right. So these bookmarks will allow us to use the buttons a lot easier in a second. Okay. So you'd go through and do that for all your pages. I'm not going to do it for all of them because it will be forever. All right. So back to pages, back to our master page, because I'm going to put our main navigation and our buttons up on here. So we want them to appear on every page. So you need to make sure that you put them in the right place on your master page so that they appear on every other page. So let's very quickly make some buttons. Let's keep it nice and simple. So we'll have a circle. Let's just jump into my swatches. Have a look. Oh, wait, there we go. Spin it. What you need to do is think about the design of your button as best you can before you make it into a button. So just think about the design, maybe try a few things out before you go on to the next stage that I'm going to show you and actually make it into a button. Because once it's a button, and we can't really go back and change it because it's looking at the areas that you're going to click in, and I'll show you that in a second. So if you go wrong, you just need to recreate the button, but I can help you with that if you get stuck. So very simply, I'm going to highlight that. I'm just going to group those together so it's one item. So that's going to be my first button, and I'm just going to stick that up there, keep it in line, and very quickly I'm going to copy and paste one of those, and you'll see that my smart guides are coming up, and it's putting it in place, and it's kind of seeing how much width is between each one and making my life a lot easier. So we'll call this text 1, we'll call this one gallery, and again you would go through and you would make sure that you do buttons for all of your pages. I'm just going to do these few first so I don't have to kind of do the same thing all the time. Alright, so we've got essentially what our buttons are going to look like. So click on the first one, open up your buttons and forms. Now this is the new stuff that it will be slightly different along with the bookmarks. So we've done our bookmarks and we've marked our pages, and now we're going to look at how we create buttons and put them into place, ready to be used and to be interactive within our document. Okay, so start off with type, and we want it to be a button. You've got other options in there that you can look at. So if it's a checkbox, or if you wanted a list, or like a drop-down menu or something like that, then there's different things that you can do in terms of interactivity and creating forms as well. Make sure that as you're creating things that you name them properly. So call this one the home button so that you know what it is. And then what we want the event to be is on click. So you've got different options there, but we want it to be on click. So when we click the button, what's going to happen? Okay. You've got actions here as well. So when we click the button, we want an action to happen. So we want to go to a destination. So you click on the plus, and you see you've got lots of options here. Some that will only work in PDFs. These ones that are grayed out underneath PDF only. Some that will only work if you're working a little bit more complicated and HTML and shopware files. And then these ones that will work on all of them. Okay, so we'll stick with these ones so that we know that we're going to work on all of them. And we want go to destination. Now this is the key bit. If you've bookmarked your pages properly, when we went through and did the bookmarks before, you'll see them appearing in the destination drop down here. So now we can select the right page. We want that one to be home, so that when we make this interactive and we save it properly, this button will now always go back to the home page, which is where we bookmarked it before. Okay. Now what you want to do is you want to have a look down here, because you can, on your button, you can give it a rollover state. So when you roll over it without clicking, it can have a different style, it can have a different color. So you just click on the box here to make it active, and you'll see that we're selected. Now any changes I make will be for the rollover state. So I'm just very quickly going to go and make that yellow. So when you roll over it, it's going to go yellow. So that's what our button will look like normally, and when we roll over it, it will go yellow. All right, and that's it. That's that button created. And you will need to do the same for the others. So select on your next one. We want it to be a button. We want it to be on click. We want to name it. This time text 1. So we know we're going to the right page. Give it an action. Go to destination. Sorry, so this bit here where it said untitled 2, I didn't mention this before, sorry, will be the name of your document. So if you say, I haven't saved this page yet, but ideally save it first, give it a decent name. So that will be the name of your document, and then destination within that document. This time we want it to be text 1. We want to create a rollover, so we select our eye. Now we want our rollover state. Change your button design so it's slightly different. Keep it nice and uniform so it's all the same. And that's that one done. And then last one, nice and quickly, button, gallery, on click, add an action, go to destination, in that document, this time we're going to the gallery, select my rollover state, change it to what I want it to look like when I roll over, and that's that done. And you can see that we've got these little icons on there, so it's working as a button. Okay, so now what should happen, see if I can export this just quickly. Oh no, wrong setting, sorry, my fault. Export that, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you export it as an Adobe PDF interactive, so it picks up the interactive elements. All these you'll be able to leave as they default, so you won't have to change anything there really. And OK that. And you'll be able to see now, so this is the example of the one that we've been working on. So when I go over my home button, it's highlighting nicely, and my text button and my gallery. So if we go to text 1, there we go, we know we're on text 1, it's jumped to the right page. Likewise for gallery, now we are jumping to gallery as well. And if we go back to home, we've gone back to home. So we know our buttons are working, okay? And you can apply that method now to other documents up here, and then later on as well within your document, within your website pages as well. So let's go back to InDesign. And if we have a look, it did it automatically because we were working on the master, but you can see just about in these little previews that all of our buttons are on all of our pages now, so we can get around our website however we like. All right. The rest of it is really now down to how you want your site to look. So let's just go through very quickly some of the layouts that I did. So there was my home page, a little bit of information, put some image holders in there for images that we could drop in later, and things like that. Then maybe a text page that's a bit more kind of text based. There's a couple of those, there's one there and there's one at the end. So using one text box and kind of splicing it with some columns, you guys will be fine kind of knowing what you're doing with that. The page that's slightly different, it was this one, but it's not rocket science. So all I need is a little title and an explanation will go in there, and then I had these 4 blocks that would represent kind of thumbnails, if you like, of images. Now the keen-eyed among you will notice that these are buttons, and they are really simple buttons, and all they do is they jump to the different sections, the different pages, sorry, in here. So I did exactly the same. So I went through and I labelled all of these. So if you look at my bookmarks in this one, you'll see I've got gallery 1 through to 6. So that's marking each of these pages that are slightly different. So if I go to page 4, you'll see it's the same gallery, it's just that this would represent a bigger version of this thumbnail. And then page 5 would be a bigger version of this thumbnail, and so on and so forth. All right. These are all buttons. So I created these to begin with on page 3, and then just copied and pasted them into the other pages, into the other gallery pages I've done. And all I did was the rollover state is with this orange outline on it. So the normal state is just with the buttons as they are. Let's jump to the PDF and I'll show you. So that's them as normal. Then you roll over and the orange line goes over. Click on it and it jumps to that page. So you can imagine if these were kind of a gallery of images, maybe a portfolio that you've done or anything like that, that these would be the different sections that you can jump to. All right. Really simple buttons, done in exactly the same way that I've already shown you, just done as within the document. Okay. Let's go back to InDesign. So the only thing that I haven't shown you is hyperlinks. So from your website, from your interactive PDF, you might want to jump or leap to social networks or download sites. So we could make this a live link to go to the Adobe site to download the reader. And what I did, just to show you how it works, is I've dropped in down here a Twitter icon and a Facebook icon. All right, so let's just go and do this from scratch. So we'll go back to our dummy page. We'll go onto the master. We're on the master, that's all right. So don't reinvent the wheel. If you want a logo for something, that's a template that I was working for, you just saw. So let's make it nice and easy and go and find something. Oh, that's a bit weird. Don't know why it's gone to Yahoo. It will do, I suppose. Find anything will do. New image. So grab the image that you want and then paste it into your document. A bit big, but there we go. And I just had mine sitting in the corner. Alright, so there's our image that we got. And you can add a hyperlink to anything. So you can add it to a shape that you've created, you can add it to an image that you've imported, like we're going to do, a bit of text that you've got on there. It's up to you. All you need to do is set up the hyperlink first, and it's nice and easy. So you go over here, hyperlinks, and then on your options, new hyperlink destination. And then you just need to make sure that you get the right, because you can make hyperlinks to jump within the document as well. So that would be a page, but we want a URL. And as always is a good idea, kind of keep things labeled nicely. And then in here where it says URL, you would actually either copy and paste, or you would type in your address that you want it to jump to. Okay, so we click OK there, and what you'll see is now when we select our image here, we can, within our panel, click on the link here, and you'll see that you'll get the URL that you've just typed in. And if you do more in there, then you'll get a different list. So if we just go and do another one quickly, new hyperlink destination, URL, search, okay, that one. So selected on our image, go to our drop down, and now you've got the two different ones that you could choose from. All right, so I'm going to select Twitter. Obviously, it will now tell me that there's a hyperlink kind of on my document, and that's now hyperlinked, so that when we see that as a interactive PDF now, that link should work and go to the page that we want. Oh, sorry, I didn't want save, I wanted export. So again, export Adobe PDF interactive, that's fine. Just going to place one that I had before. Don't change any of those, and it will load. Mine's opening automatically, hopefully yours will as well. But if it doesn't, you just need to open it up in if you open it up in Adobe Reader, just to kind of make sure it's viewing it as the best way possible. And then what should work is down here, you'll see if we hover over it, it will tell me. And it will take us at some point, there we go, to our Twitter page. From there, really, it's down to you. It's up to you how you want to lay out your pages and think about your design. You might want to sketch some ideas out first. You might want to think about the different sections that you've got and go from there. But that is the very kind of beginnings of how we can create a pseudo website, an interactive PDF within InDesign, using some of the interactive elements with our buttons, using links to other pages on the web with our hyperlinks, and thinking about just the organisation of the page and the document enables us to create that site. All right, so now it's down to you. Have a go and good luck.